Hey guys, Ronnie here. This week's episode is brought to you by NelsieSpencer.com. Everything Nelsie Spencer and Losing It is on NelsieSpencer.com. There you can find links to Nelsie's book, movie, and classes. Take Nelsie's writing classes or get one-on-one coaching and sharpen your writing skills. Take classes like screenwriting class and novel writing first draft. If you'd like to support the show, grab a couple things at the Losing It merch store where we have mugs, t-shirts, hoodies, hats like this one, the one I'm wearing, and much more. If you're watching this on YouTube, check out links to NelsieSpencer.com and other things such as the links to our equipment we use and all our social handles in the description down below. And if you want to contact us, tell us you love us, hate us, want to tell us you're losing a story and possibly have Nelsie read it on the show, email us at losingitcontact@gmail.com.
Losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it. If you got a story, we don't care if it's happy or gory, so come share your losing it story with us.
Hello, everyone. Hi, girls, as Heidi would say. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Losing It with me, Nelsie Spencer, and Ronnie Whaley, my producer, partner, and friend. Hello, Ronnie.
Hi. Hi.
Ronnie, you gotta work on the high. You gotta work on it.
I didn't even think about that. Damn. All right. Next week.
Damn. Next week, his high is going to have, he's going to say hello in a way that has a confidence and a nuance. Yeah. It's going to have a subtext.
They're going to be writing books about that high.
It's going to say so much. Oh my God. Well, let's get right to it, shall we? Shall we get right to it?
Yeah.
Okay. We have a guest today who is, I met Alison through my writing class. She was referred to me by another client of mine, another student of mine, and she's been in my roundtable, which is an ongoing writers group. We work one-on-one. She's really funny. She's really smart. She's adorable, and she loves she's a super fan. She's a super fan.
I noticed that.
I know.
Yeah, she was like saying stuff to me after the podcast that I was like, I totally forgot I even said.
Yeah. Yeah, I said to Ronnie before she came on, I said, Alison thinks she knows you. Not, I think we went to school together. She thinks she knows you because she listens to the podcast,
Yeah, that's hilarious.
So, which also makes me feel good because, of course, that's,
Oh, yeah.
We want you guys to feel like you know us because we're so special. Anyway, she's a super fan and she's also great. And here she is. So I am so happy that Alison is here today. She is a writing student. I think I can say that we've also become friends. She is a fellow mom and a fellow writer, and she's funny and smart. And she's currently in Georgia, but she now lives in Brooklyn. And I'm so happy that Alison Donnelly is here with us today. Hi.
Hi. Oh, you are my friend. You're everyone's friend, right? But you like the joy of writing personal narrative with someone that you trust is that you cross over pretty quickly if you're brave enough to put it out there.
Yeah, I think that's really true. It's really, I think that if I'm working with a client that, it can be fiction or nonfiction, but there has to be a level of trust. And in order to create that trust, it's pretty important that I'm a nice person and still honest, because for me to just say, yes, everything's great to a client, I'm not doing them any favors.
Right.
But I just have to make sure that when I point out what's not working or what could be improved or what might be missing, that I use the right language and I say it with, gentleness and love and enthusiasm.
Well, if I may plug you, yes, you do all of those things and more. You're so good. I feel so, you're an amazing writing coach. And out of all two that I've ever had, you're the best.
Thank you. Had a 50-50 chance there. And I score.
Keep your spirits high and your expectations low. So you just get my voice, and I love that. I feel so much. I feel a confidence that I've never felt before, because I think I just, my other coach was a good start, but she definitely is traditional Iowa Writers Workshop sort of format. And you're not in any way that. And that's why so many writers who are normal human beings and different feel comfortable with you. It's the way it should be. I adore you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I wasn't planning on a plug, but I'll take it. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And, I'm really lucky that I do what I do, and I love it. And I have just fantastic students and clients, and it's just wonderful. And I don't do any traditional Iowa, that whole workshop, that whole point of view, because I'm not formally trained. So I just bring to it what I've learned and who I am and all of that. So anyway.
You're also not a pretentious douche.
No. I had a douchectomy quite a while ago, and
they say that helps with belly fat.
No, I think I have, because I grew up in an environment, and you can appreciate this, Alison, where there's a lot of potential for pretension, because, my mother went to a certain boarding school, and so did my dad, and they went to certain colleges that have, and there's a lot of douchery that can really happen in that environment where, I went to the right school and I have the right whatever. And because, and especially because I grew up in the 60s and 70s where there was all this pushback against the establishment. And also, to be fair, my grandfather was, he was just an out and out racist, and, and I think my great grandfather was probably a slave owner,
because you have Southern roots in your family, right?
I have Southern roots. My mom was born in Savannah. My great grandfather, great, I don't know, was the mayor of Savannah. So, yeah. We have So I just was always running in the opposite direction from that, So, yeah.
My middle name is the name of a town in Georgia that is named after a Confederate general.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it's a family name.
That's a lot to carry. What's your middle name?
Hazelhurst.
Oh, right. Hazelhurst. I knew that. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a shit little town with a Dairy Queen and a red light, halfway between here and Milledgeville. It's always like your bathroom stop on the way to the lake. So proud.
Yes. And that's something else we have in common, is that my family's from Georgia and Alison's from Georgia. And it's and not just anywhere in Georgia. Like, my mom used to spend her winters in Sea Island, or summers. They used to spend time in Sea Island, which is exactly where.
That's exactly where my parents' wedding reception was at the beach club. My aunt, the cousin that I'm currently staying with, her parents had their reception at the beach club. And her family founded the cloister, founded Sea Island, not mine. Her mom married it. My mom married a fucking Renaissance man.
Mm-hmm. also known as Alison's dad. The fucking Renaissance man.
Yeah, that's fancy for mostly unemployed. Oh, God rest his soul.
Oh, yeah. It's so nice once they're gone, isn't it?
Oh my God.
So Alison and I have bonded over many things, not the least of which is coming from a pretty fucked up family. That's me speaking for myself.
No.
Yeah.
You know of which you speak.
I know of which I speak. Yeah.
Oh, you are. I mean, honestly, you're my therapy Thursdays, because that's when we have our touch base. And So your listeners know, she's my virtual writing coach who I just basically unload on 15 minutes a week, and lots of creativity comes out of it. But yesterday was all about the fact that I was going absolutely nut balls, being like sucked into the vortex of family dysfunction within 72 hours. And I was a participant, I can't say that I did it unwillingly, somewhat unconsciously, but I needed that 15 minutes. I needed it. And it turned my entire day around.
Oh, I'm so happy.
It did. It really, really did. And that, I know that sounds schmaltzy, but it's 100% true. I said to my husband last night or the night before, I need 10 minutes of you listening and hearing me, just help me unpack it. And then I talked to you in the morning, and you're not connected to any of these crazy fucking people.
Yeah.
And he is. So to him, it's sort of like he gets that it makes me nuts, but he also finds it humorous. And I do after the fact, not in the moment.
Right. Not when you're in the, well, because it's like, if you go back into that family environment, all your buttons are pushed because you're around the people who, some of them created those buttons, or that family dynamic, that stuff that happens, it happens generationally, and, God willing, and with therapy and all that stuff, it lessens and it gets better, and we're changing the dynamic and hopefully, letting go of that old bullshit. But I mean, I wasn't kidding when I said it's so nice when they're gone. My mom and dad are both dead, and not that I miss my mom a lot sometimes, and I even miss my dad sometimes, but it's, not that I didn't grieve them both, but I don't know.
Of course. I went on a date with my, last night we told our son we were going to go to the liquor store, and we totally knew we were also going to stop at happy hour at the golf club. We're like 1950s parents. We're just going out for cigarettes. So I'm sitting there with my martini. I was like, it's just so nice not to have the stress of tomorrow night is dinner with my dad, and everything it does that I never didn't love him, but I would have to find the perfect restaurant where the noise wasn't too much, but the food was really good, and the waiter wouldn't rush him because he likes to eat slow like the Europeans. And then after every one of these dinners, we'd get in the car and I would just start sobbing. And my husband is Catholic and he does not process feelings.
Oh no, we take the feelings out way young when they're Catholic.
He's like, there. That's it. Shut up.
You'll be fine, sweetheart.
Shove it down. So finally it was like, I even said to him once, why is this happening? He said, because it's trying to organize a meeting with the CEO, and everything has to be perfect. Like you're satisfying the most high maintenance client in the world.
That's your dad. Your dad's the most high maintenance client in the world. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you're just, so you're worried the whole time.
And you might play that out with the CEO, right? You might have those certain triggers hit, but you're doing it with the person, like somewhere in you, your little I'll speak for myself, somewhere in there, my 5-year-old is still waiting for that approval and a certain type of attention and love that I never got. So no matter how much we understand it intellectually, there's a part of us that's still waiting.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I would go and visit my mom and she would do or say something completely in keeping with who she was. And every time it felt like I got kicked in the stomach when I wasn't expecting it. Every time. Because we're still waiting,
Yeah.
And it's fucking exhausting. And that's why thank God you got in the car and sobbed, though. That's good.
Yes.
Really? Because that's like, you get to have a release and you get to grieve. You get to grieve what you're not getting. And you get to acknowledge that this is fucked up, right?
And in real time, I was glad about that. I mean, it was still a few years later, but, once my son was sort of, I still tried to do this when he was 2. That's insane. I just finally said, this has nothing to do with anybody else but my dad. Like,
when you said you tried to do this, what was the this?
Like arrange a dinner and sit with my father and listen to him, because we listened. He held forth, and we heard his stories, and
So everybody kind of continued to sort of play the role and not point to the fact that pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Like everyone continued to pretend he was the great and powerful Oz.
Correct.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And my mom too, and like she I think she knows intellectually because she was married to him and she also divorced him. But she was under his spell still. I mean, he was charming, and other people were like, "Oh my God, I loved your dad," and I'm like, "Yes, I do too." I think people confuse sort of being able to see that he was human doesn't mean I love him any less. But there came a time during my adult life when let's be honest, I didn't confront the guy. I was never ever brave enough, but I finally just said, we will be at Melanie's house. I mean, we're out in the woods. There's rivers and trees and pools and places to sit. I receive folks, and I just finally said, you guys come here. I have a kid. I can put him down for a nap. I can hang out by the pool.
That's a huge shift, though. I think you got to acknowledge that's a huge shift. That's really good. Hey, by the way, I never confronted my dad.
Yeah.
By the way, just so you know. I was waiting for the deathbed scene where then I would confront him, and then he fucking died and he didn't tell me he was dying. So he got the last laugh. But
I love your story. Not in a ha, but I mean the way that you tell it and that you survived it. You came out on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah.
You had me at Day of the Dead, Daddy. It was kismet.
It was. I made all these female friends in college, and many of us found out along the way that we were all incest survivors. And it was all like, was it like we had a secret tattoo on our forehead that we all recognize? But I think that we recognize on some sort of almost vibrational level people that have survived a similar type of trauma. And we're drawn to each other.
Yeah.
If they've survived the trauma and they're funny, then I'm in.
Right.
And we just find each other. Yeah.
There's a
fantastic.
way, like I've moved through life with a certain look on my face that I think that's, the right women are like, oh, she definitely needs some affection. But she's too afraid to ask. And because of that's the trauma that I brought in. But I'm like, I'm super funny when you know me. I just immediately assume you don't want to know me.
So you have a losing it story for me. Am I right, my dear?
Oh, do I ever? I have a losing it story for you.
Goody.
Okay, so you keep me on path. Brevity's not my strength. It's not until draft 10 or 11 during year 2. But I revisited a blog that I wrote so that I could really give you the good nugget. So here's something you don't hear from women very often. I've struggled with body image most of my life. And
that's a new one. Body image. That's so funny because I've always felt 100% good about my body. Never for a minute did I think I needed to go to a diet doctor when I was 106 pounds.
Oh my
True
God.
Story.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And, it's generational, the whole body image thing. And my mom recorded her weight from the day, she started in college, and she still does, she writes it on her calendars and she likes to keep them. She's 70 something. And I'm very curious about where these calendars are stored if she's still.
She's got a shitload of calendars.
That one's going to be easy to throw away.
And does her weight go up and down, or is she very
she's rather consistent, but in her late 40s. But what she's mostly consistent about is discussing it no matter what. We could be talking about the trial of the insurrection, and she would find some way to tie the conversation to her weight. I don't know. She'd be like, did you see that, Liz Cheney? That shirt didn't fit very well. I've lost 5 pounds. She will never, there is never a conversation that doesn't somehow pivot to my mother's weight.
Pivot back to her weight.
And she's smaller than I am. And my brothers were super skinny. And I wasn't a fat kid, but I felt like a fat kid because my parents were slim. My brothers were skinny and I was not skinny. I was, a little belly when I was 10, but nothing, ridiculous when I look back and I think about it. I went to Weight Watchers camp when I was 13 and I lost 12 pounds and I looked really great, but I needed to lose 12 pounds. And I was only in middle school. And my mom was like, oh, yes, we'll get the money to send you Weight Watchers camp.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
But, when they knew so much less, because what people, they didn't know necessarily about body image distortion or, any of that stuff. And I don't think people were bulimic and, they probably were, but bulimia and anorexia hadn't really come into the mainstream yet.
And fat shaming was horrible then. It's horrible now. It really hasn't improved. And anyway, I went to Weight Watchers camp. I lost 12 pounds. I looked really cute in my 8th grade school picture. And by 9th grade, I grew boobs. I discovered weed. And I was just eating tons of shitty food from the gas station with my loser friends. And so I was just, average 12, 14 from then on up. So many years into the future, I get pregnant and I have a baby. But before I got pregnant, I had gained massive amounts of weight. I was always sort of a 14 bottom and a 12 top. I have a Coca-Cola bottle body. So my ass is huge, even when I'm fit. And so it's just
have a beautiful, abundant, round bottom. Let's change our language around that. Can we change the language around that?
It's more of a mound.
I'm just guessing that your husband likes it. That's all I'm saying. I'm just guessing.
Most guys have it. The bar is low, but So it's always been the saddlebags have always been the thing that I hate. And I also have just a slightly larger version of my mom's exact body from neck to foot. We don't look alike in the face, but I am a carbon copy and I'm painfully aware of it. So it's sort of every year she gets older, I'm like, all right.
Oh, right. You're looking at your future. You're looking at your future. Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
So I gained a ton of weight before I got pregnant with Thomas. Dan and I bought an apartment and we moved from the city to Brooklyn and we were getting to know our new neighborhood and we'd been married a couple of years. So we were just out partying and drinking and having a really great time. And before I knew it, I'm almost 200 pounds and I get pregnant. And I went to the OB and so, she's like, all right, you're, certainly higher than we'd like you to be at your starting weight. So you're not allowed to diet, but you don't have to gain 35 pounds. They always say you should expect to gain 35 pounds. So I certainly ate, I had cravings but I gained 15 pounds, but I also was 193 pounds when I was 13 weeks pregnant.
All right.
I did not look like I was pregnant till about 5 minutes before I gave birth. I just looked like a fat lady. I wore
which is so horrible because you just feel like you want a t-shirt that says I'm pregnant, right? I'm pregnant.
Give me your seat, you dick.
I'm procreating. Leave me alone. I'm making a human. Fuck off. That's the t-shirt. I'm making a human. Fuck off. That's the t-shirt.
Oh my God, I was huge. Dan kept telling me I was beautiful, and I love him for that. But I definitely was huge. So I had my baby. I stayed pretty big for the first couple of years. As you may know, it's not that easy when you first have a kid and you're home alone, and you didn't have the best models. And, I'd had lots of therapy, but then I'm working through all of the like, what if I fuck him up? I just am worthless. What have I achieved? I've done nothing. And the whole, how can I possibly?
So a whole sort of identity crisis landed on you with motherhood.
Absolutely. So
which, by the way, is what the Playgroup is about, which is what my novel's about. Is becoming a mother, because I had two kids right next to 20 months apart at 37 and 39, and I went, where did I go? Because my identity that had been connected to all these other things was now, I used to joke, what it says on my license now is Raina and Malcolm's mom. It doesn't even have my name on it. So it is. And the reason, part of the reason I wrote the book is I was like, why is nobody talking about this? Why is nobody talking about when you become a mother that you feel a little lost? On the one hand, I felt like not completely unlost because I had these children and I adored them and I loved being a mother and I loved that. But on another hand, you feel like I lost who I used to be, and nobody was talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. It's like you don't even have a name. I mean, literally, people just called me Thomas's mom. And I did the same thing to other women, but when I felt visible, I didn't like what I thought people saw, but mostly I felt invisible because I didn't think I was me. I didn't feel like I was me. I felt so inadequate. When I think about how much time of my child's life that I wasted with feelings of that, it does make me feel kind of shitty. But I know he's not damaged from me not like cherishing every second we spend together. But I wish I could be less like, wow, you suck so much, you're probably going to fuck him up.
Yeah, that's not a good mantra. Right? Because the problem is that first of all, we're just going to fuck them up. We're going to fuck them up. That's just a given. And I knew that from the beginning because I'm human, and B, being the opposite of my mother is not necessarily the perfect parenting guideline. I'm going to not be her. Right? That is not necessarily like
the bar's not high enough. I mean, it's a good start. It is, but you're right. It's sort of, I was really worried about being her and not really focused on what it meant to be me and to,
right.
There's no manual. Obviously everyone says that. That's true. But there should be more honest conversation, to your point and to the Playgroup's point. And I did think that a lot. I spent so much time on the fucking playground in Brooklyn. I mean, I didn't like it. Maybe the first time when he was super cute and chunky and I took some fall weather pictures with foliage. But every goddamn day at a city playground, it's not fun. It's just not. I think
because the thing about mothering is it's all out. It's all giving. It's all an output. And if you somewhere along the line aren't somehow feeding yourself on a heart level, then it's really hard. And nobody, and just normally in our culture, we're not being told, you really need to feed yourself on a heart level. What have you done? We're starting to do that more now. Oh, did you meditate? Oh, what's your self-care shit? But like, that's part of the reason I started writing the Playgroup is because that fed me on a heart level, because that was something that was my thing and I like being creative. That made me have a sense of fulfillment that motherhood wasn't giving me. And aren't we told that motherhood should fulfill you? And if it doesn't, that you're somehow broken as a woman.
Oh, yeah. And I was literally broken as a woman, which I wanted to address with Heidi El Haddad on a Thursday, a therapy Thursday, when you guys were talking about bonding. The one thing when you do is protect your child and attachment parenting and all that. But she said something about breastfeeding. I had a breast reduction and I couldn't breastfeed. And I can remember when I was in the hospital, I wanted to have they made these ridiculous contraptions that you tape this tube down your, non-working boob.
Yeah. Yeah.
And torture your newborn baby so that you can bond. And the nurse wouldn't help me. It was like 2:00 in the morning. And it was the first time I felt shamed about my inability to breastfeed. And it wasn't the last. Those conversations on the playground were, I felt the minute I said I
especially
didn't
in
breastfeed,
Brooklyn, right? Everybody's breastfeeding in Brooklyn, right? I think
they're
it's
just
mandated.
Walking around with kids dangling from their nipples, and it's if you can't
going in and out
like,
of Whole Foods.
There's no excuse. They're working the green market. They're at the co-op.
Oh my goodness.
And, I also didn't feel the need to explain myself to people. I could tell we're just like, I'm going to judge you no matter what. I wanted to do it, but there was no guarantee that I had a breast reduction. There was no guarantee that I would be able to. And Thomas, for a little, they were like a little ounce would come out after, 30 minutes of pumping. He called on pretty quickly. And the lactation specialist came in.
Yeah.
And I said, I had breast reduction. And so at first she was like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. Like, the breast is best. And you're going to have motherhood is easy and wonderful. And then I told her I'd had a breast reduction when I was 18. I was 32 when I had a kid. Who plans that far in advance when you're 18?
And I'm assuming you had a breast reduction because they were pretty damn big.
They looked like, when Carol Burnett would put the tennis balls in the sock and they were not good 18-year-old boobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were awful. And I had back pain if my insurance company is listening. And
they're listening.
It was horrible. I'm still hunched. My mom got remarried and my stepdad had good insurance. So it was the best thing that could have happened to me at the time. I felt so much more confident and better, and I didn't wear giant shirts. And who knew I wouldn't be able to breastfeed at 32? I didn't give a shit when I was 18. So this woman was,
you're not thinking
her
ahead.
entire demeanor changed. So I'm not even out of the hospital before 2 women have made me feel like a fucking failure. And so,
first of all, I just want to back up because that makes me so mad. When Malcolm was born, we introduced him to a bottle too soon and he couldn't latch on. And so after having nursed Raina for 11 months, I had Malcolm sitting at my breast where breast milk is leaking out of it, sobbing. And he's crying because he won't latch on because his sucking thing is broken, whatever I did the thing with the tubes. I taped tubes to my boobs. I taped them. Because I had a lactation specialist who said to me, if you want to breastfeed this kid, you will. Because I hadn't had the breast reduction. She was like, if you want to do it, she was just loving. There was no judgment. Don't be a fucking lactation specialist if you're going to judge. You know what I mean? Like, fuck
I wish
you.
I hadn't been so out of it. I wish I'd gotten her name. I mean, I don't know what I would have done, but I would have told other mothers. Right. I met a mom at a playgroup or something, and she worked for some website, and I got paid to write a story about my non-functioning mammaries. And I keep forgetting that when people say, have you ever gotten paid? I have one time gotten paid for something. She edited it. And I didn't challenge anything. She sucked my voice out of it, took all the funny parts out of it. It was, but still, like, I should go back and make it funny and write about what that experience was like. Cause people were bitches. It was just so, what business is it? we could talk about women making fun of women forever. So anyway, my fat mom.
You're fat. You're a fat mom. Yeah.
He's 2. He's 2-ish. It's 4:00 in the afternoon or 2:00 in the afternoon. I don't know. It was late. I was still in my gigantic nightgown and I was watching TV and he was taking a nap and an infomercial came on and it was a super peppy Midwestern fit lady named Shalene. And she had a workout called Turbo Jam. And you punch, kick, and jam. And the songs were good. Like there was some jazzy Michael Jackson. So, and I waddled down my spiral staircase to the computer and I ordered it. And 6 to 8 business days later, I received my Turbo Jam starter kit. And I started with these 20-minute workouts when Thomas was napping. And I thought I would die because I was so large and so sedentary. But I worked my way up slowly to 30 minutes. And over the course of a year, I lost 40 pounds. And
sister friend.
I was so proud of myself because I did it at home, and
with a toddler.
With a toddler. And I did it at nap time. And he I guess he was already walking anyway, but at some point he gave up the nap, but I would still do my Turbo Jam. Like he knew her name was Shalene. He knew Turbo Jam. He knew like the uppercut and stuff like that. And so he would, be off in the corner Turbo Jamming next to me when he was a little tiny kid. He has no memory of this, but it was because the thing I said to my husband is I don't want him to know that it's not about the fact that I'm fat. It's about how I feel about myself and see myself. If I thought I could heal myself by being fat and happy, then I would have gone that route. Obviously, there was also therapy involved in this, but still I needed to lose weight and I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to play with my kid. So I was super proud of my 40 pounds. And also at this time, we began the super duper fun process of applying for schools with a goddamn toddler.
So fun. So fun. Who's going to teach my toddler the primary colors? And is it going to cost me $7,000 or $10,000? Yeah, it's insanity.
It's insanity. I'm so glad I wasn't fat because I was still insecure as hell. And I had a few of my office temp clothes left. And I wore a Brooks Brothers, like broadcloth white blouse with my gray pencil skirt and pearl studs. I never wear.
You put on the outfit. You're like, I'm going to wear that. I'm going to wear I'm a nice preppy white girl costume. Right. And maybe even I come from the right family because I got the pearls on. As my mother would say, you come from a good family.
Oh, that's totally
What does that mean? Like, my God.
It's very important.
Yes.
Apparently.
Yes. My mother would say, well, does he come from a nice family?
Sidebar, I love that you referred to your hometown as Twin Peaks because you also know my hometown and have experience here. That's the perfect way to describe it. Where like, there's like 10 suicides. Here there are many drunk driving deaths on oak trees that like you just remember as a kid, where there are now traffic circles, which should have happened 30 years ago, but still Twin Peaks is pretty great. Plus here we have the whole plantation element.
Yeah, that's a whole other really frightening aspect. Okay, so you're doing your Turbo Jam, you lose 40 pounds.
I lost 40 pounds. I survived the interview process. My son started nursery school at an independent school in Brooklyn. And I meet moms. I'm starting to become friends. That experience was very nerve-wracking for me because I grew up poor and in the public school system in Georgia. To become a private school mother in New York City was fucking terrifying.
Which again is what the Playgroup's all about. The Playgroup is, even though I didn't grow up poor,
right?
I mean, everything's relative. I grew up with an incredible amount of privilege at times in my life, incredible. And I lived with my dad in, shitty places with cat shit dried in the corners, which was more a tribute to my father's lack of housekeeping and me and my brother's inability to do anything. But the point I'm making is that when I took Raina and Malcolm to the East Side, to the Madison Playgroup, the minute I left the West Side and I was on the East Side, and people are like having earrings that cost more than $7, and men with cufflinks, and women who are wearing shoes that cost more than, and they're all, it's just this world that I kind of know this world, but I do not belong in it. And I feel incredibly intimidated by it.
So scared. I didn't feel scared. I felt the same way I felt when I was a little kid on the free lunch line in elementary school, was just sort of,
they must know that I'm the poor kid. Yeah. I always say there's a line in the Playgroup where Ellie, the character based on me, feels like she might as well have ex-waitress tattooed on her forehead because it's like and an outfit on the Upper West, an outfit that's perfectly fine on the Upper West Side. The minute you cross the park, you look like really like you've stumbled into the wrong neighborhood. I think things might have changed a little bit, but still, Madison Avenue is Madison Avenue.
And now those West Side moms are like the Prospect Heights, Park Slope moms. There's a look. There's a look. I felt so uncomfortable, but my son started nursery school and he only went till 12 o'clock and he went 3 days a week. And I was one of 2 moms that picked up children and the rest were nannies. And
nannies.
The mother that I met was Erin.
Oh my God. I was going to ask you, did you find your peeps? It
was Erin, and she is...
Oh my God. Erin is how Alison found her way to me.
Yes. She's an angel.
Because Erin was in one of my classes, not in person, online. Erin was in a Zoom class. And that's how Alison found her way to me as a writing teacher.
Erin is statuesque. I honestly believed that she had been a former ballerina. But she then told me that she was a track runner in high school. And that was like, okay, so she's very lean and she's just nothing but muscle. And she's also she's not formal, but she is she's businessy, but so she actually started talking to me. I never, ever would have initiated conversation. I was just afraid of my shadow in those early private school mom days. But she was like, oh, hello, I'm Erin, reserved, polite. And I was like, hi, I'm Alison. And I don't know how, but she was a journalist. And so even though Erin she's an introvert and she's really warm and lovely. She's reserved until you know her. So, but she had an interest. So she just asked questions and like, hello, who doesn't? I'm me. Ask me a question. Ask me about my me. I will tell you.
My mother used to always say, ask a man when you're on a date, if you're nervous, ask a man about himself. He'll think you're fascinating. And I think that goes for anybody. I think that goes, and I am a naturally curious person, so, and I'm always funny. Like I met this guy walking Cali the other day and he had a dog too. And he had a John Lennon t-shirt on and his dog's name was Eleanor Rigby. So and where do you live? And somewhere, and this happens a lot, somewhere 10 or 15 minutes into the conversation, I realized has not asked a thing about me. And that happens a lot. And it wasn't even like, oh, I thought he was a jerk. I just realized that I'm that kind of person. I'm a curious person. And,
if I saw a guy with a Beatles shirt and an Eleanor Rigby name, that's an awesome name for a dog, by the way.
Right.
And also that's super dark. I always love the Beatles fans who like the dark shit. It's, there's two types.
Yeah. And the John Lennon t-shirt, of course, is the classic John Lennon, post Beatles with the glasses and.
And the New York shirt on.
Yes. The New York shirt.
I write a letter to this company at Aaron's urging to tell them that I have purchased this product and I'm so happy because I lost 40 pounds and I feel so much better about myself and I'm a better mom and la, 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 la. Thank you so much for what you've done, yada, yada, yada. I share it with another mom whose brother happens to work for the company. And she said, do you mind if I send it to my brother? And I was like, no, because it's super cheeseball. It's very me. And he emails her back and says, we have auditions in the city for a new product called Brazil Butt Lift. And we are hiring, real people to do the program. And then you'll go on an infomercial and be a real life before and after.
I know Brazil Butt Lift. I remember when that came out and that became very popular. And let me tell you, who doesn't want to do the 20-minute thing that's called Brazil Butt Lift? I would do that today if I had it. Just saying. Just saying.
It works. It's hard as hell. But I'm supposed to say, and it's really fun. So I go on this audition, Nelsie, and when I get off the elevator, I realize that I am in the same studio where my mock audition was during my senior year of musical theater school. And it's kind of like the universe, slapping me in the face and going, ha ha. Because I was like, why does it seem familiar? Oh, yeah. The last time I was here, I was terrified. And then I proceeded to just continue to be a waitress because it was the 90s and the drugs were good. And here I am, a stay-at-home mom, auditioning for an infomercial for Brazil Butt Lift. I finally made it.
The pinnacle.
So I go into a room. A bunch of 20-year-olds tell me to put my bathing suit on. I have to stand in front of them while they take a Polaroid of my saddlebags and my butt. And then I'm introduced to Leandro Carvalho, who is gorgeous and Brazilian and has green eyes and a tattoo here. I called him the boy with the dragon tattoo. And he is so lovely. And he said, you gonna work hard? And I was like, oh, yeah, because he asked about Turbo Jam. And I was like, I did Turbo Jam for a year, Leandro. Like, I've got it. I'm ready to go. And he, he's like, it's not going to be easy. And I was like, I'm ready. And then you have to commit to the food they feed you by 3 meals a day and 2 snacks, 7 days a week. And I was all in.
Yeah. You tell me what to eat, I'll eat it. Absolutely. That makes my life so much easier.
I hate cooking. I wish I was in a test group all the time. So I got in and we go 5 days a week to an Equinox in Midtown. I'm in the 10:30.
Which one? Which Equinox?
Fifth Avenue, I believe. Yeah, I would get off at Bryant Park, I think. And there was an 8:30 and a 10:30. So the 8:30 had more working aged women and mothers, and the 10:30 had younger women who worked evening jobs or actresses and models, and me, one of 2 moms. One of 2 moms, and the only 2 people who were in the higher weight loss category. And this is after I've lost 40 pounds and thinks I am the shit. So the first entire week, so Leandro comes out and he's like, hello, I am Leandro. I'm going to reshape your body. And so he's gorgeous and he's so excited. And the music starts and it's pounding and there's whistles because it's Brazilian. And he proceeds to make us do a cardio workout for 60 solid minutes. I was the color of a watermelon afterwards. And I thought, I'm going to fucking die. And so I'd already started a blog 3 days earlier because I was so afraid I would quit because I'm still just, racked with the feeling of you're a loser and you never finish anything. So you have to put something on the internet so you can't quit. And so I came home and I was like, it's so hard.
Don't make me go back.
And it was funny because it was hard and I was self-conscious and I made fun of myself a lot. And I was wearing these leggings that I bought from Lululemon because I have to wear like 12 layers of Spanx at all times. And Leandro came over. He's like, I want you to wear shorts. I need to see your body. And I was like, but why? And he was like, he wants to know what he's working with. What's the truth here? And so,
oh my goodness.
And I was like, I'll do whatever you tell me, Leandro. So I got shorts and I was next to the mirror and I would do these kicking things and like ripples of thigh would just whoosh, and I hated it. I was miserable. And then the second week he started the weights, the ankle weights, like 1983 all over again. Holy shit. It was so hard. I committed. I had to pay a sitter because my son was only in school a half day, 3 days a week. My husband was not super keen on the whole like free thing that was costing us a lot of money in childcare. And also I was a raging bitch for 90 days. But then halfway through, we have a meeting with Andrew, like a one-on-one. And he said, what's your goal? And I said, my goal is to I'd really like to weigh less than 150 pounds for the first time in my life. And I want to be healthy. And I don't want my child to ever see me as big or not setting a good example. So he's like, what is your goal weight? I'm like, 140. And he's like, I think you're going to do 135. And I was like, okay, that's ridiculous, but okay. And then I said, all right. And I was like, so like an 8? And he goes, no, you're going to be a size 4. I'm like, I've never been less than a 10 since I was born. So
how tall are you, Alison?
I'm 5'7.5", but I have had back surgery. I might have been closer to 5'8" then, but not 6 feet tall. And there were like actual 25-year-old models in the class. And spoiler alert, exercise works really well, but saddlebags never go away unless you go and have surgery. But you can certainly reduce them significantly by just, working your hips so hard that you're guaranteed surgery by the time you're 60. It's totally worth it. So he looked at me and he said, I believe in you. And I know it's so cheesy, but he's not the first person to have said it. He's the first person that I believed. And that doesn't mean the other people didn't believe in me. And that, I don't know, it was a really special moment. I love him. I
love him too. I already love him.
God, he's so kind.
Yeah, I can just the way you're talking about him, I can see that he's a really big-hearted person, and with that is excited about helping women and helping them transform in a way that's meaningful to them.
And not shameful. And he English is not his first language, so he can be very blunt and sort of like, no, that's good. You can still do better. But at that point, I was like, okay, I want to, Leandro. So I got strong and I lost a crap ton of weight. And there's a point during a test group when people stop losing weight, probably because they're adding other things. And Leandro had been around long enough, so he would lecture the youngsters who really didn't need to lose weight in the first place because their bellies were still mushy, but totally bikini worthy. He's extremely hard on the female form, but also very loving and positive, probably because he knows I'm obviously never going to be a model. I'm already 40. Let's just get her to be better than most of the people she's around. And so, and I was like, yes, that's what I want. And he had, the amazing focus on positivity and would give those girls lectures. And it was supposed to be over at 60 days. But if you got chosen, they extended it. And I'm sure it has nothing to do with the fact that there was a few women who started out bigger and then they stayed longer. Because I can remember how the producer was like, we think you have so much potential, and we've seen the growth, and you're following all the rules and all this. I'm like, yeah, but I still could use another 15 pounds. Going to make your product look better. And they're like, yeah. Plus, you're stay-at-home mom. That's good for marketing.
Right. You're perfect for marketing. And yes, just keep coming back and lose those 15 more pounds and we will have documented it all. And
and yes, they did. And through the course of that, so I lost that fear. I lost the fear of sort of failing someone that I felt this respect for. And I had friends who were like, oh, I mean, like, do you really think you could actually be that thin ever? And instead
can
of,
we put quotes around that friend word? I mean, that's not a friend.
It's so gross.
And maybe it might be a person who maybe they have their own issues about their weight, perhaps. I don't know.
It was always thin friends who I think sometimes they need you to be where you are and never ever come out of that spot. You
played this role in my life. Yeah.
I'm the fun, chubby friend. And then I wasn't fun Bobby anymore. I hope all you Gen Xers out there get that reference. And I finally dropped friends like that. I lost the fucks that I had to give about the opinions of people who that's ridiculous. It also helped that I was raising a child and sort of how would I want him to how would he feel about it? And what would I want to say? So that helped. And I got an extra month as a reward. And then we went to Leandro's private studio for that extra month. I lost 22 pounds and a whole bunch of inches, and my arms were chiseled.
And this was after the 40 pounds you'd lost previously.
Yeah. So I lost a little over 60 pounds. Yeah. Well,
right
40
on.
of them.
So, and you went, and if I'm doing the math correctly, you made it to 135.
Yes, I did. So for like a solid 2.5 to 3 weeks, enough to get the infomercial filmed and cram my body into some size for Donna Karen's for the infomercial. And then they released me into the wild and I lost my mind because I had been in no way prepared to continue to eat.
Right.
The way 1,000 calories a day. I was so fit. People said skinny when always offended me because I was in a lot of pain and exercising all the time. Skinny's kind of mean when someone has to work that hard. And I didn't know what to buy. We filmed it. They put me in a ridiculous, how Victoria's Secret catalog, like had the shelf bra tanks. It was like a crossback pink one and these skinny jeans and some platform wedges. And I had to turn around to the camera and go, look at my butt.
This is the best story. I cannot believe that you did Brazilian butt lift. I cannot believe that you were on those videos. I mean, that is really amazing. Amazing.
When it opens, there's dramatic, like after school special music and me standing there very sort of solemn going, my old butt was big and wide. And I mean, I just hated it. I just covered it all the time. And the director's asking me questions off screen. And I had kind of a crush on him. He looked a little Sean Connery-esque. He had the white hair. Kind of some daddy issues running in there, Nelsie. And so he's asking questions and I'm just answering Mark, cute as a button, Mark. And, oh, my old butt. You want to know about my old butt? And so you don't know what's going to get used in the infomercial. So it opens with I'm really sad about my old ass. And then they pan out and I'm in my sexy Victoria's Secret outfit in the comfort of my own home.
Can we watch this anywhere?
Yes. I sent Ronnie some links earlier in email.
Oh, good. Oh my God. I mean, fantastic.
I have within the first month after being restricted, after having my calories restricted, and it was, somewhat of a prison camp. Okay, so that was a year after the infomercial when the same company asked me to go on QVC to be the real life person. The other girl's a model and I'm the one. And some woman calls in, Susan from Illinois, and she said, I have the saddlebag problems like the lady in the yellow top. I was inspiring other housewives across the country.
So you lost quite a few things, it seems like. So let's talk about what you lost. Beyond 60 pounds. Beyond 60 pounds.
I guess in a way that was some sort of protective shell from a lot of pain. So I lost I lost my need for that cloak. And I don't even think I thought about that until many years later, because it didn't work through some of those things until later. But certainly that was part of the comfort of food. I lost the need to placate and please people who aren't nice, who aren't helpful, who don't bring anything positive to me, and to whom I don't feel like bringing anything positive to. The ability to say no more easily.
You got that. You gained that, the ability to say no more easily.
And I lost the belief that I was worthless in that moment that Leandro said, I believe you. He said, I believe you can. And then I asked him another question and he said that I know you can. And I just wanted to say I agreed with him and I wanted to show him that, I just really, it meant the world to me. And I told him that a year later and he cried because he's wonderful.
So it was like a big shift in you.
It was a life-changing event for me. I lost my mental health after it was over, and it took about a year for me to find the balance between, 138 pounds is not sustainable for me ever. My lifestyle, my body, my brain. 145 is just fine. But it took a year afterwards. And they are selling a product that works and they want to have a good commercial. I understood I wasn't going into a psychological situation that they were going to help me with. I also didn't know I'd be such a fucking basket case afterwards. I had to learn to shop and eat right. And to stop like touching my body when I ate to make sure I wasn't immediately gaining weight. It was so
tossed threw you into a little bit of a little bit of an eating disorder and maybe an overly concerned about weight and calories and body and all of that. Yeah. Cause you'd achieve this thing that you thought you never could. So, oh my God, what if I lost it? Because achieving this thing that you thought you never could suddenly you redefined yourself and it meant you mattered maybe or something, right? So if it went away, then what? Right?
Right. I was very afraid of going back to those feelings. So I had an opportunity to work through that. And my son grew up. I mean, this was over the course. That clip is from QVC a year later when I was asked to come and be the real life person on the QVC spot. And so I was still working out. I was still good enough for them to put me on camera and promote their product. And I was very proud of the fact that I continued to be someone who exercised and I continued to write. That was the first time I've ever written. And I haven't looked back. I haven't actually, only today did I look back at some of the posts because I wanted to get the good nuggets. And I was a little cringy, but my voice was totally my voice. And, it's a book. I mean, there's so much of it. And then, the mental part was really hard. So there are some people who are like, blah, 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 blah. She can't go shopping and she doesn't know how much fat's in an avocado. I'm not interested in this. I can definitely see why people didn't give a shit about those. But I also just had to work stuff out. And then my dad was dying in it, so the last post I wrote was the year after he died and I didn't care about my body anymore. And I think also I lost the obsession that was passed down to me for generations, that my value is tied up in how my body looks, how much my body weighs. My value is tied up in how I feel about myself, not how anybody else feels about me. And that's really difficult because your mother is a part of that and her mother is a part of that. And there are emotional boundaries that have to be set. So not only did I have to accept myself for who I am, I had to say to my mom, I don't want to talk about your weight. This, it's not important to me.
And
I don't want to talk about mine.
You were able to say that to her?
I'm so much meaner to my mom than I ever was to my dad.
I know. We do that.
Isn't that how it always is?
Yeah. I don't know if it's always is. I heard somewhere that, oh my God, I think it was some TikTok therapist said, she's a therapist, but she has a TikTok feed. And she said we are nicer to the parent that we are meaner to the parent that we feel safest with. That made so much sense. I was like, fuck yeah. Because I can be mean to you. I can't be mean to you because I'm scared of you. So I'll just play the game and won't mention that there's, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. I'll buy your bullshit. I'll pretend like I'm a devotee because you scare me. But mom, you don't, or you might, mom, you might scare me, but not as much. So yeah.
That's exactly. I have pushed my mom to the limits. And I understand that now as an adult,
and also as a mom,
that I knew I could, and I never ever would have done that with my father.
Yeah, and guess what? Your mom's still here, meaning she's still your mom. Like my dad fucking checked out, and and not to say that my mom didn't. Well, she took a few vacations from mothering, but she kept coming back, and me and my brothers were fucking relentless with her sometimes. We were not so nice. And she still showed up.
And she was willing to talk to you in your adulthood.
Yeah. She got a lot of points for that.
I think that's really incredible. My mom and I don't connect on an emotional level, but has been really open to tough questions that I ask after I decide what I want to write about. And she's always willing to answer them. And
wow.
I've even been able to say.
Alison's writing autobiographically and just really funny and really beautiful and really heartbreaking. And, it takes so much courage and vulnerability and willingness to go to places that maybe you don't necessarily want to when you're writing autobiographically. And I think that's pretty great that you can ask mom stuff and she tells you what she remembers.
And she was really proud of the test group thing. I found myself feeling really annoyed. Oh, I love that you're doing this. No, I'm exercising. That's the story of our lives, is if I'm trying to get healthy and she's like, well, I'm doing this and I have lost 5 pounds. Never like, that's great. I'm so glad you're doing that and taking care of yourself.
It just always circles back to her.
And it's totally unconscious. I know that about my mother. She is not wired in any way that's malicious at all. And it's almost harder to deal with because it makes me feel like shit for being pissed at her. So I just always say that she's soft-brained and I have to be gentle.
So that is a fantastic story. And I have just cannot wait to go and to these links and see more. And I kind of want to do Brazilian butt lift, to tell you the truth.
It's so fun. It's nothing but fun. You will laugh all the way through. I was instructed to say this before the QVCs.
It's nothing but BUTT fun. It's nothing but fun.
The host was like, so why do you do it? And I'm like, because I like to stay in shape. And she's like, no, it's fun. And I was like, oh, TV. Yeah.
I do it because it's fun.
My face looks like this before, during, and after.
Never once do I think, fuck this thing.
It's so goddamn hard, but it works. It does work.
Oh my God. You're our first infomercial. I mean, it's really amazing. So, we end with 3 questions. And you know them because you.
I do. I know them so well. I'm a super fan.
So your first question is: is there something you hope to lose in the next year?
I hope to lose more fear and more fucks. I think we always have more to lose. I know I'm so crass. My husband will be so disappointed.
Well, hopefully he won't listen.
More fear,
more fear, and you want to give fewer and fewer fucks. Yeah,
I'm writing. I want to submit something. I want to lose the fear of submitting my very personal writing.
Don't go there yet, because. So, is there something you hope to gain in the next year?
I hope to gain courage and pride in my efforts. I don't care about rejection. For me, it's about sending. It's about doing it. If I don't try, I feel worse than if I'm rejected. And that is what I want to gain. Courage.
Good. Fantastic. And last but not least, is there something you hope you never lose?
Of course. The same thing everyone says. God damn it. I'm like number 1,000. My sense of humor. I never want to lose my sense of humor.
Yeah. Me neither.
It's how could any of us have survived without a sense of humor? I don't even know how it's possible. You gotta laugh.
Oh, you can't laugh about incest. What can you laugh about? That's Cardi's line. Come on. That's a good line.
I read my mom part of my essay, like just a few seconds of it. She's like, this is so sad.
And you're like, hey, Mom, welcome to my childhood. I know you missed some of it, but yeah, it was pretty sad.
I felt so satisfied when she said that, and that's terrible. Yeah, it's sad. Imagine living it.
Well, I adore you. This was fantastic. Thank you so much. This was so much fun. And
I adore you.
I will see you soon. And, give Sea Island my love.
Oh, I will. I'm going to ride down there, the Confederate flag in the back of a pickup truck and just let my Dixie Pride show.
Oh, man.
The South misses you.
I went there when I was 3. There are pictures of me being at Sea Island when I was 3. And then I went again when I was 43. That was it. Wow. I've been there twice. Yeah.
And did you remember 3? Because I bet it hadn't changed by the time.
Tiny bit. I remembered being on the beach with my cousins and feeling like I died and gone to heaven because I was with all my cousins. And isn't this the best? And it was the first time I flew on an airplane. So I was like, this is the best. Yeah.
It is the best. I love that I love being connected to you in that way. That's the Sea Island that I remember as well. That now it's beautiful now, but it's more sort of like any town, USA, Vegas-y resort. It's beautiful and luxurious, but the Sea Island of yore was.
Picture that my mom was there when she was 3, and that was 1928.
Holy
so my mom,
shit.
My mom was in Sea Island in, probably in the 30s and 40s. Yeah. Like way back when. Yeah.
Oh my God, Nelsie. I'm going to send you a bunch of stuff. Thank you so much for having me. It was so much
You're
fun.
Fantastic.
I love you. I really do.
And, of course. And the next time you see me, my butt is going to be so fabulous. That's a hell of a story. It's a hell of a story. It's got a lot of elements, a lot going on. And, Alison and I have so many connections that, probably I talked a little too much, and I apologize for that. But yeah, that's a hell of a story. And we're going to have to make the outro quick because I got to go work on my butt. You know what I'm saying? But we do have a letter. And last week we had Chris Rubio on. If you remember, he felt like he kind of got betrayed by a friend. I mean, he's told this story about a friend. Betray is my word, not his. So we asked if anybody had experienced something like that. And here's the letter we got. Dear Nelsie, a few years ago, I had an iMac that I was selling because I had just bought a fancy new PC that I was going to use for gaming. I had it listed on various sites for around $1,800, which was a fair asking price for the model at the time, and had gotten a few bites. Nothing concrete. And then a friend of mine asked if he could buy it. And he asked if I could do a mates rate deal for him. This guy must be from the UK. We don't say mates here in the US. Hey, mate, can you give me a mates rate? Sorry about the accent. I apologize. Being a good friend, I obliged. I sold it to him for $1,500, which is really £1,500 because the guy's from, I'm not really, it says dollars. For $1,500, it was a little less than I wanted to, but hey, it's only money. And I was happy to see it go to a friend. Not 2 weeks later, I asked him how his new iMac was going. And he tells me that he sold it for $1,850, making a profit of $350. I'm sorry. This guy's a dick.
Just flipping his
When
friend's
I
gadgets.
asked him why oh my God. When I asked him why he sold it after asking for mate's rate, he said, yeah, but I never said I was going to keep it. Total scumbag. Oh, I later learned he's the kind of person who'd sell his own mother for a 10% discount or a 10% profit. Mike C. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Mike, for that letter. And I hope to God you're not mates with this bloke any longer. Why me doing a bad English accent cracks me up so much? I do not know. Oh, come on. What level of dickness is that, Ronnie? I mean, we're talking level. That's a level 10, right?
Yeah, that's horrible.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, let's think about what kind of a letter we want for next week, given Alison's story of losing over 60 pounds, losing sort of, she shed, like she said, she shed sort of a cloak that she had, that this weight sort of was protecting her in a way, that my words, not her. And she kind of gained a belief in herself when that guy who has that great Brazilian name, who I can't remember, said, you can do it. I think you can do it. And then he said, I know you can do it. So she sort of had this huge internal shift. So I guess what we're looking for is something physical that happened, because the physical thing that happened is she lost all that weight, but the physical thing also created an internal shift. So did you have something that happened that's sort of external that created an internal shift?
Whoa.
How's that sound? You like it?
Yeah.
Ronnie just said, whoa. Of course, he did do mushrooms earlier, but that's why it seems so deep.
To my reaction.
Unrelated.
I would have done it either way.
So I think that's a good one. So guys, if you have a story like that, please contact us at losingitcontact@gmail.com and tell us your story about something external that happened that ended up creating an internal shift. And I have to say that it seems like that shift stayed with her, because it's not like she didn't gain the 60 pounds back. And that's pretty awesome, Yeah. Pretty awesome. All right. What I do want to say is please rate and review and subscribe. Apparently, subscribing is the most important thing, because it helps us in our iTunes, in our rating or something like that. And listen wherever podcasts are available. You can follow us on Instagram at Losing It Pod, and same thing with TikTok and at Twitter. We also have a Facebook page. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe and rate, because you can do that thumbs up thing, Come on, thumbs up. And you can always make comments down below. And if you want to have a letter about a Losing It story read on the air, you can contact us at losingitcontact@gmail.com. And the only thing I have to ask you, last but not least, please don't poop in the ocean.
Losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it. You came and you listened to the story. I hope so much that it didn't make you sorry, and I hope so much that you'll come back again.
Losing It, hosted by Nelsie Spencer. Produced by me, Ronnie Whaley. Theme song by Hunter Williams. Follow us online on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and all podcasting platforms at Losing It Podcast. Viewers can email Nelsie with questions or comments about life, writing, comedy, or even your own Losing It story for a chance to be on the Losing It Podcast at losingitcontact@gmail.com. For everything Nelsie and everything Losing It, visit us at nelsiespencer.com.